Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gospel Tech Podcast. Today, we're talking about giving good adventures, because not all adventures are created equal, and this is a passion of mine, especially right now when I'm in the classroom teaching a 6th grade class for the remainder of the school year. That is a conversation I keep asking myself is, okay, if this was my kid, like, how would I help this kid who has verbalized that he or she spends a lot of time on tech, that he or she is interested in doing other things and just doesn't know what else to do? And it is a bit of a cycle, right? Like, if I'm not used to having adventures at the pace of real life, that's hard. But not only is the process difficult of like feeling fun at the pace of real life is hard, and it's certainly harder than feeling fun at the pace of your smartphone or your video games or social media or whatever. And then there's but I have no habit for it. So yes, feeling the emotions is like a chemical, biological thing, but then we just don't like have the cadence. We don't have the family structure to set this up. So what does it need to look like? And that's what I want to address today. When I think about not every adventure, being made the same, I want to think for your family, I want you to maximize the adventures you get to have. I want your child to be able to have fun at the pace of real life. I want your child to have fun with real world people, not just real world people connected through the internet. And those interactions can be fine. We've talked before, and we'll talk again about how do we keep them safe? How do we pick the highest priority and the best ones? But how do I maximize the chance of every young person to know what it's like to have fun in the body God gave them, in the world God planted them, with the people God put them around? Like, in that environment, that might sound like a no duh because it just used to happen. Like, we didn't have alternatives, that you had to make your own fun sometimes, and it wasn't always fun. Some people had really hard times with the people they were planted near. And yet, that is where God has put us. And that is where we begin our building so we can do the good works God has called us to do. That is the premise of the Gospels, that I've been saved from who I was, not blaming the people around me or excusing the mistakes I made because of my circumstances or my environment, but recognizing like those were wrong. Those things happened. Some of them happened to me. Some of them I did on purpose, and sometimes repeatedly. Then going, okay, from that, I'm redeemed. I'm a new creation. What does this look like now to have fun at the pace of real life? That's what I want to think about. So some questions. I'm picturing this conversation going to parents or grandparents of young people. Again, my kids are 6th grade, 4th grade, 1st grade. So that's kind of like naturally where my brain gravitates. That's where some of these examples will come from. But for you, this could be for your adult children. This could be for your adult children with their children who might be littles or in the same age range as my kids are, or even in thinking about just the community God's put you in, your church, your school, your cul-de-sac. How can you help kids have fun at the pace of real life? And maybe why do we even want to do that? So first, let's start with the want to. The reason we want to do this is all of these real life adventures build our children into the best adults they can be. Having fun at the pace of real life helps young people learn to process their emotions, both the good ones, their joy and their enjoyment, and their bad ones, their anxiety, their depression, their struggle, their conflict. When they have fights with other people, they learn how to sit in that and how to work through it in healthy ways, not just run away to some kind of toxic entertainment that is both bad for them on its own and then is tamping down their ability to process stress and to self-regulate conflict. And that's stuff we want them to know how to do. So I'm interested both in the real world fun part of it and in the personal development part of it. Some things that this can look like, I want them to have I want it to be analog in terms of off the internet, off of technology, with minimal outside input telling you this is fun. I will go so far as to say I'm not including organized sports in this. Now, preparing for an organized sport, sure, there's no coach there. There's no directions, rules, referee. So going out and throwing the ball with a friend, a sibling, or even on your own, that counts as part of this. Running, going and getting some exercise. Okay, it's preparation for a sport, but it's not the sport. There's no one with a whistle. There's no personal trainer. Going with your personal trainer does not count as this. That's where I'm drawing this line. I'm talking analog to the degree that it is also unstructured real world play. And then I will take from Jonathan Haidt and say this will need to at least include free play, meaning non-parental directed. So your child gets to discern the pace that it happens, the location that it happens, maybe not the timeline, like, okay, you get 30 minutes starting at this time. Okay, parents can direct that. But within those 30 minutes, how often, how fast, how much, like all those things get to be discerned by the child. So if they're going to go out and throw a ball, you don't get to do 75 throws with your pitches into the net. That's parent directed. Your child gets to go decide that. And again, feel free to direct their sports. But the reason I'm stopping on this is when we think analog and pace of real life, we think anything that happens offline is good. And that's not true. Lots of bad stuff happened offline before the internet. The argument is not off the internet good, on the internet bad. The argument is pace of real life important for human development. Your child needs to understand boredom because the brain needs boredom in order to be able to process both what anxiety feels like when we're actually anxious and when we're just bored because we don't know what to do with our hands and we just want to stay busy. Adults, we are staying busy too much. We have email on our phones because we fill it with work. We have apps to stay up with others, but really we're just scrolling LinkedIn or doom scrolling Instagram or checking the news because I'm using air quotes, by the way, podcast people, because I want to stay informed, but really all I'm doing is filling that void when I really should pause. And I should probably pray and ask, Lord, is this a moment that's reflecting on my character and where I'm at? Am I too anxious? Am I too busy? Or is this a discontent you're giving me that I need to pray for someone or about something? Do I need to repent? Those are moments that are supposed to drive us back to reflect on, hey, what's happening right now? Is this because I've been running too hard and my life is just a little disjointed and I'm feeling that? And instead of feeling it, I just feel it. And I put a show there, I put a podcast there, I put music there, I put exercise there because I'm not okay in the space. Do I need to just calm down, breathe a little, pray, read my scripture, go on a walk? Do I need to go to bed earlier? Do I need to eat a meal because I don't make space for meals or talk to a friend because I'm too busy? That doesn't happen when we're constantly on our technology. So yes, analog is important for the character side, first and foremost. Then there's the content side and the design side where some of this technology is just bad by design. It isn't good for our kids. The internet is not inherently safe for kids. It wasn't made for kids. Social media literally just came from a talk to a bunch of 4th and 5th graders here in Washington State. And I was like, the social media was not made for kids. And I got an audible, I had to do one of my clap twice, lost their minds because they couldn't understand what I was trying to say. And I ended up having to bail on that point because all right, we're just going to go, we were talking about what are your feelings, fist to 5, do you love it or hate it? And I had to bail on that point and get to the next one because they couldn't wrap their brains around. And that wasn't why I showed up. I talked about using the best tech well. I wasn't there to convince them that social media was inherently unsafe. That's a conversation for adults and for kids at some point. But we didn't have the words. We hadn't talked about a reset yet. I got there at the very end of this little 30-minute assembly. The reason I bring that up is this isn't about technology bad. This is about, hey, there's some technology that's better than others. And we also need to have fun at the pace of real life. And if you don't know how to do that, then we need to talk more intentionally about what do these real world adventures look like. And they look like having analog fun, pace of the real life with real world people. Then I want to ask some questions. So is it pace of real life? Does it require personal investment? Meaning it takes effort and you're going to have a limited number of these things you can do in a day because at some point, even though it sounds interesting, you're spent. Your emotional effort to do more of this thing is gone. So we want to find something that does require your child to invest personally in the learning process and then the application of that learning. So be that painting or riding a bike or climbing a tree or digging a hole or whatever the real world adventure might look like. There's investment in here. Even learning to fly fish, you're going to have to learn a certain amount. At some point, your brain aches because you're learning so much. So does it require real world investment? And with that real world investment, is there a learning curve? Do I have to go find someone who's good at this? Maybe it's through YouTube, but preferably it's in real life, which is there a community dedicated to this thing? So when we learned archery, for example, there's a great community near us here in Washington with loving people that will help us and be happy to see children do badly at it as they figure out, how do I hold this bow? How do I be safe with this? Where is an appropriate and inappropriate spot to use the skill? That was an event or an activity that required personal investment, financial investment, time investment, and skill investment. That at some point you just can't draw the bow anymore if you're not used to this because you get physically fatigued, and then had a learning curve with the local community that could help us. But that's true if you want to learn to sing or play an instrument or, I don't know, play in a board game tournament or learn to build something or whatever it might be. Like, these are all going to check those boxes. And then finally, does this activity have a history of developing people of excellent character? And I add that one because there are some activities where, like, man, I just don't know that I even want this for you. Like, I don't know that I want excellence at this activity to be something you do. I won't call out any of the negative ones. I will bring up a conversation I had. There's 2 youth leaders in Owen's youth group who are fantastic young men, both college athletes. Both of them played football in college. And one of them was like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about organized sports the way it is right now for youth. And if I would want college sports for my children, like he was just kind of saying, hey, like maybe the untraditional sport route, do intramurals, do, cul-de-sac friend, but like maybe this isn't something where, yeah, we're going to be investing heavily in a high level of excellence. Both these athletes were able to get into college sports, without complete specialization. So they did lots of sports even into high school. And admittedly, both of them are kind of physical freaks. So that's not everyone's lane that they can be in. Like, I understand that. But the premise actually matches something I was on a long ride. This was probably 2-3 years ago now. But one of the gentlemen, probably 8 to 10 years older than me, was talking about his kids who were entering that late high school era into kind of college or work life. And he was like, yeah, like we stopped doing traditional sports. And he's like, if I had a single piece of advice, he's not a believer, didn't know Jesus at this time, but he just said, if I had a single piece of advice, it would be don't do hyper organized sports. He's like, do bike rides, go rock climbing, like go on walks, hikes, like be around your kids, but you don't have to dedicate your heart and soul, your family's finances and your time to this thing that they probably won't go to college in, and even more probably won't go pro in. This won't be their living. This won't be their lifetime. And that both of those conversations with a recent-ish college grad and a man who's got kids going into that phase of life of late high school into college, just saying, man, the time is small. Our priorities are different than we thought they would be. And I wonder if sports match. I bring all of that in here because I'm trying to emphasize that the point is not simply get off a screen. The point is make the best use of our time. And when we think about a community invested in a sport, there's a lot of beauty there. We have our kids in sports, and I'll talk a little bit about what our schedule's looking like right now for this and what we're wrestling with. But to lift our eyes and say, Lord, what is top priority for us? Who are we raising? Is it just safe kids or is it healthy adults? What does this look like to be on mission? Our sport's a part of that right now. And I'd actually say do the similar conversation to this as you have to where you send your kid for schooling. Be intentional. Some of you feel called and convicted. We need a homeschool. Awesome. Please do that. Some of you feel called and convicted. Our kids need to be in this public space because we want to be in those communities, we want to be invested around them. Awesome. Please do it. Ann and I, right now, we're doing Christian school, and I'm even teaching at it. And we feel very convicted that the school's on mission, that we want to be a part of where they are at. We've moved so we can be closer to this school and this community to be more invested in it. We've already been able to do the stop-off thing when Owen has a 5:30 practice, but the family doesn't live right next door, but they go to school together. Great. We'll bring him home. He can come with us. He can hang out for a couple hours, pick him up from practice when they get over at 7:30 or 8. That's intentional because we were prayerful on it, not just because we did it on a lark. That's what I'm asking for you. With your sports, with your schooling, with your adventures, be intentional and give good gifts because it's not all the same, and it's not the same for every person, even within the same community. So when we ask the questions of, hey, this adventure we're going to take, does it happen at the pace of real life? Does it require personal investment? Is there a learning curve that we're going to have to overcome with a community of people that are invested, that creates people that we want to be more like? And so the reason, sorry, I got so distracted in my analog thing, I ran off the trail there. The reason I brought up the football players and the guy on the bike is talking about what we're getting sometimes out of sports isn't the character we want. We're getting the competition, and we're getting the athletic goodness, and we're getting even some praise and some feel good, and it tickles some of the passions of our kids. But do we like who they're becoming with these sports? And that is much more important than the sport itself or the activity itself or the hobby itself. So that's the question. And this young man being like, man, I can see what I got out of it, but I also can see he was talking about the loss of some sports he loves. And he also competitively played basketball. And he's like, man, I worked so hard to be a great basketball player that now when I go and play basketball, it's not as fun. Because I'm not as good and the people I'm playing aren't as good. And I'm just like, you know what? Nope. Like, I'm just not going to play basketball anymore. And so thinking through, do I like who I'm becoming when I do the sport? All right. I would also add to this, yes, it's okay to look at your child's interests and what they want to do or what they're good at. I would look at whether you have this physical space, whether you have the calendar space, and whether you have the financial space to do this. Like, sure, I would love all of my kids to have road or gravel bikes, or even road, gravel, and mountain bikes. I would love for each kid to have a personal trainer with a trainer bike on it. I would love as a family to train, to do long rides together and like go and do this. But when we talk about the cost of doing all of that, space cost, financial cost, time, priority cost, it's not in the cards right now. Like, that's not what we're going to do. And do I plan when I turn 50 to take some kind of Europe bike trip with my family? Absolutely. I want to eat my way through Switzerland and ride bikes, but who knows if that'll happen. It's not a top priority. It's just like a fun dream. When we think about these, we need to make sure, is this a top priority or are these just fun dreams? And are we like needing to do other stuff, but like if the opportunity arises, we can do other things? I'm not just saying give your child things they love. Put your child in a sport that he or she is bad at. It has been very fun to watch our children work hard and develop character in sports that are hard. One of our children recently joined a sport that wasn't his best. I'll say that. And to watch him work hard and to show excellence and to not always be the first one in or the one getting the high five or the one, winning for your team, like, has been awesome. And through that, there's actually been growth and kind of a recategorization of where people lie in priority order for who goes in and who gets to play and all those things. Like, that's neat, but that wasn't the point. The point wasn't so go be the best one on the at the sport. The point was, so go do your best, learn how to support your team, learn what it looks like to encourage and celebrate the victories of others. Like, that's what we're doing here. All right. The reason all of this matters is because when we talk about not all adventures being made the same, there is this reality of finite time. So you and I, let's say you take my family. My family, the kids wake up on an average day somewhere around 6:45. That's their natural wake up, or 7. So if I wake them up at 7, they leave for school at 8, unless they leave with me, and then they're leaving at like 7:30. So then they get maybe up at 6:30. But they got about an hour. And that hour is get ready for school, eat your breakfast. If you have time, we're going to practice your instruments, clarinet, piano. And then it's going to be like, do your daily chores, like pick up your stuff, help with the dishes. Like, this hour is pretty tight. There's not a lot of loose free play time. There's not any time for watching shows or playing games or doing anything else that they might want to do. Even practicing sports, like we don't have time in the morning. So then they go to school. They get back with me. So we get back 4 on a really good day. I mean, most days it's really 5 right now with the second job, but let's say 4. We start bedtime at 8. So you have 4 hours, and one of those hours is going to be food prep, food eating, food cleaning. So there's like chores that go with that. So they have 3 hours between 4 p.m. when they get home and 8 p.m. when bed starts. And we have directed one of those hours. I already mentioned sports. So if Owen has basketball, that's 2.5 hours. His evening's done. Like, that's it. Like, you're going to even go to bed later because you're going to get home later and shower and eat some food and have your words. And like, we want that to happen. So you're going to get to bed probably 9:30, sometimes 10 o'clock. Like, okay. But with those 3 hours that I haven't spent on a sport, what's our priority? What's the most important? In those kind of 6 30-minute slots that I have in a day. And I'm assuming I like to think of them in 30-minute slots. So think about this in terms of hobbies. Your child wants to do something that he or she is interested in. So for our family, our children just like to read. They like to play chess. They like to paint either pictures using like a art hub for kids or paint their miniatures. Where are they going to do this? In these 6 30-minute chunks. Then we go down to, all right, that was just their hobbies. But what about parental emphasis? Parents, as we strive to raise kids who love God and use tech, it's intimidating to look at this next stage of life and think about what academics may look like for them. When you're thinking about college, consider George Fox University for your children because of 3 things. First, it's going to give you a more intimate, known environment where they have a focus on being known personally, academically and spiritually. Your child will grow in their faith. 93% of undergrad students at George Fox last year, through the 2025 academic year, said that being at George Fox has helped them grow in their relationship with Jesus. We also want them to grow academically, which means being a part of a university with rigorous academic standards and opportunities to be engaged. They have nationally recognized engineering, nursing, and education programs, as well as chances to study abroad here within the U.S. and then internationally. And finally, personally, to be part of a vibrant campus atmosphere where you can play intramural sports or part of their NCAA Division III athletic programs with 23 sports available. The goal here is to go to a place that's going to support your goals, not try to make you support theirs. To have that goal be to raise you up to be all God's called you to be, and to truly equip your young person with in my case, my sons or my daughter, to love God, and then from their love of God to go wherever God has called them. And that includes being equipped with a degree that'll help them do that, to be missionally equipped, to love and serve others, to lead where God has planted them, and to know the gospel for themselves, to be able to share it with others. So George Fox University is an amazing resource for our kids, for our community here in the Northwest, and for anyone who's looking to raise up a young person who can love God and from that, love others. Ann and I, we're setting time, like you're going to do math, you're going to do reading. Maybe you didn't want to do reading today, or maybe there's a book you're not choosing to read that we're going to assign you. That's parental prerogative. That fits in the same 6 slots you had for everything else. I've already decided dinner. Maybe I'm going to decide today's a math day. You're going to do 15 minutes. You can do 15 reading, 15 math, and you'll be done in one 30-minute slot. Fine. Maybe you dilly-dally and you haven't done it and you burn some time. That's still part of the same time, folks. But as we think through this, we're thinking giving our children adventures. What can these adventures include? If they're at the pace of real life, it can include those hobbies and those parental prerogatives. We just need to think through, where is this going to happen, and how far down this list can we get and still have space for more of it? There's schoolwork. That's just an emphasis. We've said yes to school, so we're going to finish it. Again, homeschool, you got a different rhythm, but if you're going to school and coming back, there often is stuff that needs to get done. You need to study your spelling words. I mean, that's kindergarten, first grade. Bible verses at our Christian school. You're going to study your Bible verses. This is going to be part of your evening. Take 30 minutes, knock all of that out. Make sure you're getting the reps. Then we're going to talk about activities. Sometimes they do things like Owen and Henry go to practice. Hadley goes to dance. Or piano. It's not every night, but it's got a cadence to it. Sunday night, we go to youth group. That is a commitment to us. It's a couple of hours. We're saying yes to it. We're saying yes over other things that could be happening. And then there's the social aspect. Like, we want our kids to have healthy friendships. We want them to figure out how they can develop this. And again, living where we now live, we're within biking distance. So I got home, what day is today? I got home end of last week, maybe Thursday. And Henry had come home, grabbed a snack, and biked to a friend's house while Owen was at practice and Hadley was just playing nicely in the other room. And like, that was an odd experience. We got a call from the family. Can he stay for dinner? He was able to. He had to bike himself home at 5:30. So they ate an early dinner. He biked himself home and he went to his practice. Like, that's great. That was a high enough priority for us when we're thinking about giving adventures to your children. You don't get to always pick who you live around. You don't get to always pick what's available, but we do get to pick what we do with our 6 30-minute slots a day. And maybe sports are high enough priority, like that young man who said, you know what? I don't know that sports are high enough priority. We might just insert hikes. Okay. We could certainly fill this time. The point isn't make sure you're busy enough. The point is make sure you like who your children are becoming, that you're giving them opportunities that are engaged in the real world with a community of people you would like them to be more like, and that you like the fruit that's coming from it. And in that, you are giving your child good gifts. Your child has asked for an activity, they've asked for an egg, and you have not given them a scorpion. You've not handed them something that is going to make them less like Jesus. And so I hope in this you're encouraged by thinking through, like, yeah, what does our family prioritize? What do we do with it's 8 slots. I just took out 1 hour of them. So I took 2 and dedicated them to dinner. Because we'll eat dinner. We eat pretty fast. We're very American in that. Like, we'll eat in 30 minutes. But we have the kids help. They're going to at least set the table and, get the cups and do that stuff. And they're going to help us clear in each one: floor, table, dishes, and we're gonna get them engaged in that, just for the aspect that they're not taking for granted the fact that this does take effort. Someone did prepare you this meal, and I get it, it's not always your favorite, but that's not why we're preparing it. It's a mix of, we hope you like it, we can afford it, and we wanted to eat it. Like, that's what's going on here. And oh, by the way, we're going to feed you too. But that is an hour of our day. We then have 3 more hours, 6 30-minute slots. How are you going to spend it? Are we going to do it at something that happens at the pace of your life, that requires personal investment with a learning curve, with people they can be around that you want them to be more like? And with that mindset, then we start looking at, okay, we get home. Is it our hobbies? Is it our parental focus? Is it our school commitments? Is it our activities? Is it our friends? Where are we going to say yes? Because we probably can't say yes to all those every day. So maybe we have certain days of the week that we prioritize certain things. Maybe there's just some days where we go, you know what? Today we just keep our head down. Saturday, we just kept our head down. We stayed. That's not true. Sunday we did. Saturday, my kids went off to airsoft and I kept my head down while I moved 6 yards of dirt. And I didn't do it all. Friends came over. Thank you, friends. Pat, Cade, appreciate you guys, and the heavy lifting you helped us do. But like, those are priorities. Those are things. I didn't even add house projects to this. Maybe that's a parental emphasis, but sometimes stuff just has to get done. Like, raised garden beds have to get built, so you do it. All right. That's it for this conversation. I hope that you hear in this that we can give good adventures to our kids, that not all adventures are created the same. If you have a kid who's overstimulated, you look at their reset, their relationships, emotions, sleep, enjoyment, time, and say, this isn't healthy. I don't like where this is going. That we can remove that and replace it with these kinds of adventures and say, you know what, we have limited, finite time. How are we going to use this well? All right. I hope this is encouraging to you and helps you process the adventures your family is having. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, Nathan@gospeltech.net, or on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Love God Use Tech. We just, I think, passed like 370 subscribers on YouTube, which is not huge in the internet's perspective. But for us, where we're just doing it all organic, it's coming from people telling people or seeing our content and then going on. So that's exciting. I hope you continue to check that out and are encouraged by it. That's certainly what we want. And then I hope you will join us next time as we continue this conversation about how we can love God and use tech. And I'll talk with you then.